Atomic Monsoon.
Welcome to the Monsoon. All right, everybody, welcome to Atomic Monsoon. This is our official first podcast of the day. My name is Josh. I will be one of the hosts here. I'm followed along with Stephanie.
Hello, I'm Stephanie.
And my good friend here, Andy.
Hi, I'm his good friend, Andy.
All right, guys. Well, this is our first episode, so thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to talking with you. As time goes on. You. Well, yeah, we're a little interaction with our social medias and stuff, so we will be talking with our audience.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk pop culture.
English is hard, you know.
It is. It's a Friday. Come on now, I'm tired.
It's Friday. It's the afternoon. Yeah. We've all had
a lot of stuff going on all week, you know. Excitement. So, all right, well, let's kick this off, with something good. I know you've got some Star Wars information.
I do got some Star Wars information. So last week, Lucasfilm dropped the trailer for Star Wars Resistance, the new animated series to be coming from Dave Filoni's brilliant mind. And this show it's got a very interesting animation style. It's kind of a bit of anime, but almost I don't really know quite how to describe it. You'd almost have to look at it yourself to go, okay. But it looks really, really interesting. It seems to be following a Resistance spy.
Okay.
On a base out, looks like in the middle of the ocean on some planet. I didn't get a lot of information because I was reading through this thing really quick. But the one thing I can say is that it will be premiering on Disney Channel on October 7th.
Interesting. Okay. Now, you said it's got an interesting art style. Is there anything that's comparable to? Is it CG? Is it hand-drawn?
It's almost its own entity. Their style of what anime is becoming now. Its style. It's almost lifelike in a way, almost video game-esque. It's starting to turn into kind of that style of anime, but its own version of it. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to describe. You have to kind of look at it.
Huh. So I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. Where in the timeline does Resistance take place?
According to the article I read, 6 months before Episode 7.
Okay, so right before the Force has awoken from its nap.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'm taking the wild guess that it's probably going to be here's season 1, here's 7 and 8, and then season 2 will come out after episode 9 comes out next year. Or at least we'll get more information, and that won't be too spoilery when we get closer.
Filler information in between the movies and stuff like that.
Exactly. It's this is a little bit of something that happens, but it's not going to spoil episode 9, and then episode 9 will come out, and then here's the rest of season 2.
Interesting.
So I'm thinking it's going to be like that.
Have they made any casting information? Do we know anything about who's going to be in it?
I can't remember the names of the lead actor, but I do know that Oscar Isaac and Gwendolyn Christie have returned to reprise their roles as Poe Dameron and Captain Phasma.
Oh, that's cool. Maybe they'll finally do something with Phasma to actually...
Maybe they'll actually do something with Phasma.
Based on the trailer that I saw, there is a brief shiny armor moment of a shiny armored stormtrooper fighting back. I'm curious on what's going to be happening in that scene.
Okay, so I've just pulled up the trailer on my phone and I'm watching it here, and it's cel-shaded CGI. So the current Voltron, the Legendary Defender series, it's kind of that animation style.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't know exactly the right name for it, but it's pretty looking is what it is.
Yeah. But it looks a lot like Voltron, I would say.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to put it. If you've seen the modern Voltron, that's what it looks like. So yeah.
Yeah, which doesn't have a new season coming out on Netflix soon?
It already came out.
Oh, did it already come out?
I feel like that show has a new season coming out every 3 months.
Yeah, it seems like I could have sworn I saw something like coming soon or something.
It had one season back in June, and then literally 2 weeks ago, it just released the most recent season, and I've watched all of it, and it is
of course
it's an emotional trip is what it is.
Okay. Well, then a recommendation then, huh?
Yeah, I gotta cut back. I've only watched the first season, so I gotta
I'm just you're waiting for the Castlevania next season to come out.
Yes.
I've heard that's good. I need to get into that.
It's a good one. It really is. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was.
Well, it's written by Warren Ellis.
Oh.
So, of Transmetropolitan and G.I. Joe Resolute and every other crazy sci-fi story that Warren Ellis has written.
Has ever written,
yeah.
Nice.
Interesting, yeah. I didn't realize he had written that.
Yeah.
Well, no wonder I liked it so much.
Well, that and, childhood memories of playing Castlevania on your Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
And suddenly, hey, here they are looking as cool as possible. Yeah. Animated and in a good adult story with a lot of blood.
Yeah, I won't lie. The thing that made me click on it was because they had like Simon's Quest or one of the Castlevanias was there for the placard.
Yeah, they had the sprite.
Netflix. I was like,
the sprite art for the placard for some reason on
so
Netflix.
I thought it was getting into like a red versus blue kind of thing. I was like, oh, check this out. What anime? Okay, what?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I like binged the whole thing. So.
Right.
It's a nice lure. It's like, they threw the bait out there to see, okay, how many people can we get?
Yeah, they knew their demographic. These guys. Here we go.
Yeah.
Come to me, nerds. Come.
No, speaking of, we were talking Star Wars about Disney stuff. You had some information about D23, right?
Yes. So we were under the assumption, at least the three of us, when we've talked before, is that D23 was this weekend. It is not.
Okay.
Oh.
It's not till 2019.
Wow. Okay.
So
That's right, because D23 runs every other year, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like Star Wars Celebration. It's going to be every other year.
Right.
So we're not going to. So the stuff that we were, speculating for a while of like, oh, are we going to see this at D23? Are we going to see this?
Wow.
Well, by that point, it'll already be out.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting. See that? Wow.
There's actually a lot of the fan conventions are doing that. I want to say the He-Man Power Con. Is that what it's called? Everyone's giving me blank looks. But I think it's the.
There's so many now.
Whatever the He-Man convention is, and I believe Power Morphicon. I think those are both every other year because those are put on by the same people.
Okay.
So they alternate years. So one year
that makes sense.
Yeah, one year you
Yeah.
get Power Rangers, one year you get He-Man. Next year's back to Power Rangers and back to He-Man.
Yeah, and you can still attend every year if you want to, just to have fun. But if it's not your thing, I like that.
Yeah.
The only thing that actually repeats every year is San Diego Comic Con, and of course, any local Comic Cons that may not use the term Comic Con anymore.
Well, yeah.
Well, there's other ones like what was the
like
one that just
MegaCon
happened?
and Dragon Con.
Yeah,
and
those ones
like
happen. Which Dragon Con's coming up? Isn't 2 weeks away? Dragon Con, I think.
It's pretty soon. Yeah.
I don't think it's next
there.
weekend. I think it's the weekend after, but don't quote me on that.
Next weekend is Sabaton Con here in Arizona.
Yeah,
so.
which should be interesting for those of you who are out here in Arizona with us. We hopefully will see you there. It should be a good time. I've been seeing a lot of people posting on social media that they're going to be out here. So it should be a good time all around for that one.
Good times.
And for those of you not in Arizona, Sabaton Con is our local anime convention. Sabaton is the Japanese word for cactus, which is where that gets its name. So.
I did not know that. That is an interesting thing to know.
Yeah.
So. All right, there we go.
We have to associate everything with cactuses.
Well, it's the desert. It's the desert, so we have cactuses and a giant hole in the ground.
Yep.
And don't confuse it with the what is it? The Swedish band Sabaton?
No, not the same thing.
Not the same thing. Not the same thing. Okay.
No.
I was just making sure I said the name of the band correctly. That's why the look on my face was that way.
Okay. I'm not familiar with the band, but I'm pretty sure they're not a Japanese cactus.
No. They're a heavy metal type music band.
Okay.
I'm probably now shaming myself for saying it completely wrong, but I've listened to 3 songs.
Sure.
Speaking of something shameful, I am looking very forward to seeing Happytime Murders this weekend. Have you guys seen the previews for this movie?
Looks awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go see this. I haven't laughed at a trailer that hard before, I don't think ever. And the first trailer I saw for that just had me in stitches. So I'm very looking forward to this movie tonight. I'm stoked.
Yeah, so Happytime Murders is the Muppet style, but not actually associated with Jim Henson Company.
Yes.
It looks like kind of an updated Meet the Feebles. Maybe?
It's more kind of like Avenue Q, but not on Broadway.
Okay.
And minus the music and minus the actual plotline of Avenue Q.
So an adult Muppet style.
Yes.
I think like Crank Yankers, that kind of puppet style. It's very similar to that type of puppet style, but still trying to show the homage to the Jim Henson era, which you can definitely see with the puppet design on there.
Sure, right.
They had to have snagged somebody from the Jim Henson Studios when that got sold off to help with this thing, because some of those were just way too accurate to old Muppets.
Yeah, I know his son had a role to play in this, and not in the sense of a character role, but as in helping you, making sure they looked like Muppets.
That would make sense, because I know that was a lot of people didn't go with the Disney route, so that would make sense that if he was over on that stuff. So
he was like an on-hand helpful producer person.
But that's something I'm very looking forward to this weekend. I can't wait to go see that.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Even though the trailer looks nice and crass and gross, but it should be a good time any which way. Melissa McCarthy, she's almost always funny.
She's always great.
Yeah, and they had a ton of other people in the cast and doing voice work and everything else. It should be a really fun movie to go see.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're pointing at me like I have something to say. So, so let's step back a minute. Talking about conventions and ones happening every other year. Las Vegas Fan Fusion just got canceled.
Oh yeah,
right. So the Square Egg Entertainment that just took over Phoenix Comic Con, they've already announced that Phoenix Fan Fest in the fall is canceled, and they just announced that Las Vegas Fan Fusion's canceled. And the only information is on their website. It says it is with regret and our apologies that we announce that Vegas Fan Fusion 2018 will not be held as scheduled. A variety of factors influence this decision, including unexpected costs to present the caliber of event you deserve. We love the Vegas community. We thank you for your support. If you have purchased membership, signed up as a panelist, or have purchased exhibitor space, you'll be contacted by our team directly. I found out about this when a friend of mine who was going to be tabling there kind of posted on social media like, cool, my airline and hotel tickets are non-refundable.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting my money back for my table, but I'm still out hotel for the weekend in Vegas, which is not cheap.
No, that's rough to everybody that was planning to attend, because there's been a lot of social media that I've seen about this, that people saying like, great, I have a hotel and I have this and they're booked and I can't refund it now.
Right, right.
So it's really looks bad on them, and it makes me question what's going to happen here locally next year for the cons that they are in charge of.
It's interesting because and nothing against any individual people or anything, right? I'm not saying, hey, this company is a terrible company. It's very strange that this year's Phoenix Comic Fest attendance was down significantly from the previous couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, the year before definitely didn't help.
Right.
But
yeah, with the controversy and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a roller coaster.
So for anyone who is not aware of this, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
In 2017, there was a gentleman who got past security with live guns and live ammunition, assault rifles galore, and said that he was going to be attacking one of the guests,
as well as certain members of security and other things.
Right. And this gentleman was clearly not stable upstairs. Was calling himself the Punisher, said he had to punish this particular guest. If you look up Phoenix Comic Con 2017, you can find the more details on the story and who he's going after, but I don't want to release anybody's names and get more out there.
Yeah, that's sidebar, but the fact that that happened, so it definitely had an effect on the attendance, I think, for this
it had an effect on the attendance. It had an effect on people who had certain panels that used lightsabers. It had... I'm not better.
Part of the fallout of that is the Phoenix police told the convention center, hey, don't let anybody bring prop weapons into this show.
It was so bad. So originally it was don't allow anyone to bring props in. That included stuffed animals.
Right.
And then it got to the point of like, okay, sonic screwdrivers and like the small rink-eating props are fine.
Yeah, things that are clearly not actual weapons.
They still didn't allow lightsabers in. The only reason... So to kind of clarify why I know this information is because I'm a part of a local lightsaber group by the name of Syndicate Saber United. And we had performances planned for that weekend. One of them, oddly enough, led to me getting engaged. Thankfully, our shows were put, thank you. Thankfully, our shows were put back on when they were. But it was just this. We were in like such a frenzy and a panic. Like we were actually in tears because we thought, oh my God, we can't do our shows now because we're not allowed to bring our sabers in.
Right.
Yeah.
So and it was just like heartbreaking.
So 2017, we have that event. This year, attendance at Phoenix Comic Fest, they changed the name, was down. They've already announced that next year will be called Phoenix Fan Fusion. Announced that Phoenix Fan Fest, the other event they do in Phoenix in the fall, has been canceled, and now Vegas Fan Fusion has been canceled as well.
Yeah.
Right. So of the 4 events they have this year, 2 are canceled, and I believe they still have the Minneapolis Fan Fusion to go.
Yeah.
And I think that's in January.
What was the name the year before when the gentleman showed up? What was it?
It was Phoenix Comic Con.
Okay.
And that
I'm wondering if the name change also might have had
the name change was because of San Diego.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering if maybe just changing the name on it might have also had some people go like, oh, I don't know what that is.
It was
that might have affected any of the attendance as well.
Could be. And Fan Fusion is even a more confusing name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. The initials become PFF, Phoenix Fan Fusion.
I mean,
which hopefully doesn't show.
No.
The future
well,
they didn't show.
all that I'd say is going from con to fest to fan fusion, you're going to end up with some confusion at some point.
Yes,
right?
definitely,
So,
definitely.
I know what they're just quickly going to add in my last thought here is that with Fan Fest that was supposed to happen this winter. I mean, personally, I'm kind of glad it's not happening because I have other things going on. But
what are you getting married?
Yeah, maybe, possibly. I don't know. No, but the thing is, though, what I heard with that was mainly just because after they moved it to the convention center, the attendance just naturally started going down.
Sure, right.
Like last year, it was only in one square of the exhibition hall for the exhibitors, and then another square of it was for the panels, and that was it.
Right, because previously the Fan Fest was at the University of Phoenix Stadium where the Arizona Cardinals play.
Yeah, and it actually got a pretty recent turnout because free parking.
Right. Yeah, and it's on the far west side of town, so people over there can go.
Exactly.
And they don't have to worry about getting into Central Phoenix and and then moving it to downtown. Like, hey, bigger venue, that's cool. And it's like, yeah, but if you don't have the attendance to justify it, maybe you don't do that.
Yeah, no, because I know the year before when they had it at Phoenix at the convention center, they had the entire third floor for it, and then the second floor had panels. But this year, last year it shrunk a lot. So I would see that more as a numbers game in the sense of the attendance didn't go the way we wanted it. So let's just stick to the way we had it beforehand and just stick with the one con.
I remember talking to some friends in, I want to say 2015, and just that year here in Phoenix, we had 6 major fan comic book anime conventions, right? And I was like, this is too much. This is not sustainable, and we're going to be the next 3 to 5 years. We're going to be going back down to one big convention and maybe a smaller one later in the year. And
it makes more sense.
Sure enough,
there's so many conventions every weekend that everything is stacked up. There's always something going on somewhere in a state near you, so it makes more sense to cut back on it a little bit. Do 1 or 2 a year versus 6 a year. Right. In your state, it just kind of gets crazy.
I mean, in fairness, a lot of them were held by different companies. Yeah. Right. So it to the general public, it's oh, Comic-Con came to Phoenix, and then it came again, and then it came again. It's no. Two of them were from the same people, and the other 4 were from all different companies. Yeah. So right. So it's not, it's fine, but I appreciate people saying, hey, conventions are a thing, let's try and make some money doing that, but there's a point where oversaturation absolutely hits, and where can you go, right?
Yeah.
So
there's only so
low attendance.
Listen, I'm a nerd. I only have so much money.
Yeah.
I can't go to 7 conventions, 6, 7 conventions a year. I can definitely do 1. I can maybe do 2.
Then you also got to prioritize. Okay, this is my fandom. What do I want to focus on? And is it local, or do I have to travel? And there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
And if you've already got 2 Comic-Cons already coming through, you're in your local area and you're not traveling anymore, well, you're just going to pick the one that's going to have the stuff that you want to go see.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So it's going to definitely affect your attendance there.
So
right.
There's a lot of factors involved. I mean, even for the cosplayers, it's just especially the ones that are, paid to be there.
Right.
For them, they have to have their costumes done well in advance for each of these cons, and they don't have a lot of time to do them. So especially, I mean, I'm a cosplayer, and hearing that, oh, hey, we're not going to have one in December or November or whenever it was supposed to be, in my head I'm going, okay, good, now I can get my other costumes ready for, the following year.
Right.
But I don't only go to 2-3 cons a year, and most of the time when I'm going because of the Saber group that I'm in. It's not usually me going because I want to go, unless it's unless it is, then I'm going because I want to.
Fair enough.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah, it is very unfortunate that did get canceled up there in Vegas. Hopefully there'll be something coming around. Maybe they can do something for these folks that booked all that stuff next year. Maybe help them get some priority booking or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Well, if we have any update information, we'll definitely let people know.
For sure. And the nice thing is that it's not the only comic convention in Vegas. There's already a couple of others.
Yeah.
So, hey, it's a bummer that the Phoenix group tried to move up to Vegas, and hey, this first year it didn't end up not working out. Okay, sure, fine. Maybe next year. Maybe they were trying to expand too much.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe they just didn't have the pre-ticket sales they needed to for the venue. We got literally no information on it, so it's all speculation.
Of factors.
It's who knows? Maybe they might have had some guest cancellations. Who knows what it was?
Right.
It wasn't feasible for them. But hopefully we'll get some more information, and hopefully this all works out. And
Yeah.
we'll still be getting the conventions that we want to get.
Right.
We'll see how those things go.
Sure.
But some more interesting news about things that are ending or did not happen.
Sure.
We got Big Bang Theory announced that it will be their last season coming up here. Now, I know some people absolutely hate the show. Some people absolutely love the show. Just it depends on your point of view. Either way, love or hate it.
Sure.
It's ending soon.
And Big Bang Theory. So I will admit I am not a Big Bang thing. Big thing. Let's
not a big banger?
I am not a big banger. So much so I don't even want to say the name of the show. No, I did legitimately enjoy the first season.
Yeah.
The first season had the through line of, hey, Leonard is this nerdy guy, and there's the cute girl who lives across the hall, and will she give this guy that is outside of her usual dating pool a chance, right?
Yeah.
And okay, cool, right? Like, I think that that's a good message to give to anybody. Just because somebody doesn't live the same lifestyle that you do doesn't mean that they're not a worthwhile human being, right? And so that season runs through, and the whole season is Penny's dating these terrible guys, and there's Leonard, who's a nice guy, but he's a nice guy, trademark.
Because it was that Reverse Three's Company thing, and it was fun. It was a fun, silly show.
And Sheldon and Wolowitz and Rajesh were all there, and they were silly, and they had their nerd moments and stuff, and that was cool. And the season ended with Penny agreeing to go out on a date with Leonard. Just a date, no relationship, not getting married, nothing crazy, right? Just like last season is, let's go on a date, let's give it a shot, right? And so cool. And then I watched like half of the second season. I was like, oh, they don't have a direction anymore. It's just jokes about nerds. Okay. And I was just kind of done, right? And then nothing, I don't hate the show. It's been successful. That's cool, whatever. But I kind of fell off after that.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the first season as well, and I really enjoyed this, the first season kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed, a lot of the other seasons after that, because what I loved about it is that this was one of the first shows, at least in my mind, in recent years, that really was like, hey, you know how we thought nerds were dorky and weirdos? Yeah, no, you're wrong. Like, they can be some of the coolest people you will ever know, you will ever meet, and they can be anybody. The fact that, they made Penny the dumb blonde practically in season 1, in the most recent season, she's smart as hell.
Okay.
Like, they literally, like, her relationship with Leonard and her being exposed to more real life and other things really actually made her a smarter person.
Okay, excellent.
So it really just said, no, being a nerd is not a bad thing. You can be a nerd and still get the girl. You can be a nerd and finally, come out of your shell and find somebody for you. It was just, I'm realizing as the show went on, it was really getting there. And I understand why people hate it.
Sure.
But I loved it, so.
Okay.
No, I'm kind of 50-50. There are episodes I love, episodes I hate. Just kind of just different things. But the thing that I liked about it was friends of mine that weren't comic book nerds or into certain fandoms, they would do an episode of something and be like, hey, they were talking about this on Big Bang. What is this? And be an opportunity to be like, oh, you want to know who Green Lantern is? Okay, for me to go.
Well, do I have a bunch of stuff for you to read?
Little things like that.
It's accurate.
They make a Doctor Who reference. They go like, "What is Doctor Who?" And I go,
"Oh, do I have 7 years of TV
let me
for
sit
you
down
to
and
watch?
show you this." Yeah,
That's the other thing too, is that there were moments in the Big Bang Theory where like Penny or someone else would be like, "What is that?" And then Leonard and all of them would be like, "Oh, well, here, let me show you." And I'm like, the thing that you guys just did is what we all do as
It's
nerds.
true. Yeah. It's true.
Like, oh, hey, I don't know anything about X thing. Well, then let me tell you something, sir. It's like
something else I always loved from it, just because growing up in a small town and everything, is just with Penny being the small town kid coming into the big city. It just, that dichotomy between her and the rest of the group, just that always cracked me up, because she know how to shoe a horse and do other things, and you're like freaking out over a bug in the house. So that always cracked me up on that. Just that little dichotomy. And I like all those actors. They're all fun. I think they've all had a really good chemistry over the years.
Oh yeah.
Just it's been a love it or hate it. It's been an entertaining show over the years. So there will be a lot of people that missed it, from here on. But it has been on the air for a long time, too.
It's been close to a decade, right?
Yeah, I think this is like their 10th or 11th season, maybe even 12. I can't remember.
Don't think they're that. I think it's 10th or 11th.
I know that and Supernatural have been on a crazy amount of time. So, which also got renewed again, I believe.
For its 700th season.
Yeah, well, they're going to be putting that out until those two guys are in wheelchairs.
Right.
Because that is going to keep going. They have a rabid rabid fan base, which is deserving. I mean, the show is funny. They did an episode this last season, which was Scooby Natural. That was one of the funniest things I've seen on television in a long time.
I still need to watch that.
It was fantastic. It was the Winchester brothers getting put into an episode of Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
And it was
like
actually done in the
school.
It's all animated.
Yeah, it's all in the 70s Hanna-Barbera animation and everything.
All right, I can check that out.
It is hilarious. You actually there's a couple lines in there from Fred, Daphne, and Velma that just.
And did they get like Ray Delisle and Frank Welker and everyone's doing the voices?
Everybody's doing the current voices. Did it. Everything. Like, it was a full. It's WB. They own both of them.
Oh,
They're
that's
like,
true.
go ahead. So it was a really, really funny episode.
Okay.
Even if you're not a Supernatural fan, it's worth just going and looking up that episode and watching it, just because it was such a fun blast to the past. If you're a Scooby-Doo fan at all, it's definitely worth your time.
It's like the old Scooby-Doo episodes where you had like the Batman crossover and the Johnny Bravo crossover.
It was. I was waiting for the Globetrotters every couple seconds. I was like, come on, one of them's going to come like walking around the corner with a ball in his finger. I got waiting for it. But that was definitely fun. So some other news, movies and TV. I know they talked this week that Hans Zimmer had said before, if I'm getting that name wrong, apologize.
No, he got it right.
But he had said before he was done doing comic book movies and things like that, but he agreed to do Wonder Woman 84. So he's actually doing the score for Wonder Woman 84, which gets me excited because DC Comics, but also because his nobody can argue that his music is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer is a fantastic composer.
Yeah, there's a reason he wins awards.
Right.
Yes.
All the time. Everything he touches is gold. So that should be a boost for that movie, definitely. Mm-hmm. And I look forward to seeing that. I can't wait to see more information about it. I'm waiting to see how they do Cheetah. Can't wait to see what they did. They put out a picture recently of the cast doing a Breakfast Club.
Yeah, I saw that.
The Breakfast Club, like
That's
exactly
cool.
like the poster, but it was the Wonder Woman cast. So looks like they're having fun with it. So I can't wait to see what they do with that movie. But some other TV information. I can't talk. Typhoid Mary is going to be on season 2 of Iron Fist.
Well, that's an obscure poll.
Yeah, right. I'm excited for it because they've got Alice Eve, who was in Star Trek.
Okay.
The J.J. Abrams reboot one.
Right.
Ooh, yes.
She was in there. Their teaser. They put out a couple promo images of her. Like, could be really good. Okay. And the promo for this new season's Iron Fist looks much improved over the first season of Iron Fist. I think they kind of took some of the criticism to heart and are fixing some of the martial arts choreography and things like that, making it a little bit more of spaghetti western. Martial arts style, which is kind of what they kind of.
It's kind of what Iron Fist is.
Yeah. Which it makes perfect sense. Kung Fu, all that stuff. That's Iron Fist. Yeah, it's all the same thing. So it'll be interesting how to do it. But Typhoid Mary is an interesting character. If you don't know the story behind her, depending on which version of it is.
Yeah, so I'm going to say, as kind of a Marvel zombie most of my life, Typhoid Mary has come up a few times in comics that I've read, and I still don't really understand her backstory.
Okay. See, I know her mostly from, there was the obviously Daredevil. She's a huge part of the Daredevil.
Right. I know she originated in Frank Miller's run on Daredevil.
Yeah. I believe so.
Okay.
I believe she was in Frank Miller's. But one of my favorites was, she's always bounced around between, like, a lot of the New York superheroes there in Marvel. You got Daredevil, Spider-Man, Iron Fist. She kind of bounced around between those ones. And depending on which version of it is, usually it was a girl who has a mental illness and split personalities. Some of them where she's actually like physically like can touch you and get you sick, Typhoid Mary, that style.
Okay.
And it depends on who it is. I always kind of compared her to the DC equivalent of Eclipso. Like just kind of like crazy, you know what I mean? Take over a person's body and you're insane. But she, depending on the version, she could have pyrokinetic powers. Like it varies depending on which Mary you're dealing with. Okay. But it could be an interesting character. Like she's a very good actress. Alice Eve is. So it'll be interesting to see what she does with the character, and I look forward to definitely seeing that.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Coming out this. I believe next month. It's a couple of weeks. It's coming out. Yeah,
wow. Man, they're cranking these out.
Yeah, they're putting out the previews and going like, oh yeah, it's coming. Here you go. And so I'm stoked for it. And we also have in the TV information the WB, CW, whatever it's going by now.
Right.
Their Arrowverse. They're doing a huge crossover in December, introducing Batwoman.
I've heard about that.
Yes.
Right. And it's Ruby Rose. Ruby Rose.
Yes.
Is going to be playing Batwoman.
She was excellent in John Wick 2.
Okay.
I liked her in there. But she's playing Batwoman, and they're actually going to be introducing Lois Lane into the Arrowverse as well. All right. And bringing back the actor that played Superman in the Arrowverse shows as well. They're actually going to have the Lois and Clark introduced into
Nice.
the Arrowverse.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's something big that's been going on. People are loving that because they haven't had Lois Lane on there at all for any of the Supergirl stuff or anything like that. So it should be good. And Lois Lane, I mean, she's a staple for Superman, so it absolutely makes sense to put her in there. So that'll be something fun.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you guys heard about this or not, but there was also some new casting information that was put out for another DC property, Doom Patrol. Because they're going to be doing a live-action Doom Patrol that's coming out and everything.
So I have not heard that there is a new Doom Patrol movie.
Not a movie.
Oh.
It's coming out for the streaming service.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Just for the DC, is it DC Universe?
I believe so, yeah. That's what they I think they stuck on that one finally, was the DC Universe for it. And Brendan Fraser is going to be...
George of the Jungle?
Yes.
The Encino Man?
Yes, he's going to be Robot Man.
All right.
So that character, and for those of you who don't know, because I doubt hardly anybody does except for this DC nerd.
I don't.
I actually do know Robot Man.
You do?
I do.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That makes me happy. Smile on my face right now. The gist of the character was he was a race car driver that died in an accident, and his life was saved by this doctor, and he became Robot Man. Mm-hmm. It's his... what's left of him put inside of a robot frame and everything, and it's a character that goes along with Beast Boy and Elastigirl.
So does he have like a brother? Is he related to Cyborg, General Grievous, and RoboCop?
Yes.
They play poker every Friday.
Okay.
I guess Robot Man will be the first of those, right? He's from the 60s, I want to say.
I believe so, yeah.
Right? Yeah, and Cyborg was from 80s, right? Yeah, 1980, and then RoboCop was 84 was the first movie.
Yeah.
And then General Grievous is 2005.
Right, so...
he's definitely one of the earlier cyborg type superheroes.
Yeah.
So and the Doom Patrol is kind of one of those tragic heroes because each member of the story or the team has had something terrible happen to them.
Right.
And that's kind of what makes them
that's why they're the
family.
Doom Patrol.
Kind of, yeah.
Right.
It's definitely whenever I read it, I always felt like it was more of should have been a Marvel title than a DC title because it's just all the tragic heroes and everything. But they're very good stories, so it should be interesting to see what they do. That I'm happy to see Brendan Fraser making a little bit of a comeback. I know it's been a big thing online for the past few months. People just putting him out there anytime they're talking about casting anything. Everybody's like, get Brendan Fraser, because for whatever reason, fans are trying to push him again.
Yeah,
but
well, it's been a while since those mommy movies, right?
Yeah.
And legitimately, Encino Man was one of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
which was his
I always loved
first.
Brendan Fraser. So
and I think the last thing he was in was Looney Tunes Back in Action.
Oh, God.
He did a couple things since then, but they weren't big things. The
last big thing he did.
I don't know the whole story, so I don't want to repeat it, but there was a couple articles that were put out not too long ago about what was going on with him and his career and everything, and what happened to this last decade while he's been missing. And it's an interesting read. I don't want to say something out of turn and not get it right.
Sure.
But yeah, if you just look it up, there you should be able to, the old Google machine, be able to get that information about what was going on with him. But it should be interesting to see him on Robot Man. I think he's the perfect choice for it.
Yeah.
So it'll be great. And
so I'm gonna interject here.
Yeah.
Going from one character who's had their body swapped into another. This week in an issue of The Hunt for Wolverine: Mystery in Madripoor, which is part of the build up to the big return of Wolverine coming up here. Psylocke of the X-Men is no longer a Japanese ninja. She is back in her original British body. So Stephanie's giving me the old glass eye.
I'm just learning here is what I'm doing.
Right. So Psylocke is Betsy Braddock. She was created in the Captain Britain comics in the Marvel in the UK. She's actually a British import, literally even in the comics. She was brought over to the X-Men by Chris Claremont, and when Claremont and Jim Lee were working on the X-Men in the early 1990s, there was a storyline where the Mandarin, the Iron Man villain, captured her and with Mojo and Spiral, who were interdimensional crazy people, took basically Psylocke's brain and stuck it in the body of the Mandarin's assassin, Quenin. And suddenly she was this crazy Japanese lady Mandarin.
Yeah, she went from being a just kind of regular character to being one of the biggest femme fatales in Marvel.
Yeah, she was kind of a prissy princess, right? Yeah. Prissy princess, white British lady, and suddenly...
drawn with big poofy dresses.
Right.
And
suddenly
very conservative.
Became this super badass ninja assassin. And it's always kind of been a little strange, right? Because, hey, here's Asian representation, which is great, except she's basically in yellowface, right?
Oh, I see your point. So if this were like to be like acted out or something, they would get like an Asian actor to play her, but it's still the fact that originally she was British.
The character is British.
Oh, that's odd. Okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing to say that you couldn't be of Asian descent and British at the same time.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. And listen, I'm not knocking anybody in real life. It's a strange thing that like, hey, we're going to introduce an Asian character, but she's actually this pre-existing British character that we just gave a makeover because Jim Lee draws her cool, basically, which is legitimately what happened, right?
Yeah. Well,
like,
I mean, to be fair, Jim Lee was like, hey, I drew this and it's cool looking. Okay, who do you want that to be?
Right.
Take your pick, Jim.
That's kind of what happened is Claremont was writing this story and Jim Lee drew her Asian and then he's like, oh, well, that looks cool. And fans kind of took to it. So they were like, all right, cool. Well, let's just kind of keep her Asian a little bit longer. The plan was always to turn her back. And then both Claremont and Jim Lee left the X-Men the following year. So everyone just kind of inherited Japanese Psylocke.
Yeah.
And there were stories with like the Quennin's brain in Psylocke's original body showing up, and then she died of the like a mutant legacy virus, and there's all this crazy insanity going around this character who's just kind of had this super confusing backstory, right? Like, how is she Captain Britain's sister and is a Japanese assassin? I don't understand. And so finally, 20-something years later, they're like, she's...
Is she back
British.
in her original body again, or is she in somebody else's body?
So I'm gonna admit that I haven't actually read the issue yet. I just kind of flipped through it.
Shame on you, Ian.
Yeah, I know. Well,
you don't have all the information and all the answers right now.
Do you know how many comic books there are?
I demand answers.
Yeah, but she is back to being the original British Betsy Braddock after this was 1990 when that happened. So it's
now are they playing about back any of her like assassin badassness?
So apparently to be determined.
Okay.
Right? I mean, any martial arts training and stuff she had done, I would imagine she would remember. Yeah. Right? But I know muscle memory is a big part of that. So we'll see what they do with it and how far they go. But it is interesting that happened as I'm rereading the Executioner song from 1992 or 3.
Oh, man.
And she's very much like the guys that inherited Jim Lee's version of her, right? And so I'm rereading this old story, and then this other thing happens in a new story, and it's like, oh boy.
Yeah. That was just, wow. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how they handle it, and especially her relationships with our characters like Warren Worthington and things like that. It'll be really interesting to see how they handle all of that and all that stuff. So,
all right.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, Warren Worthington is Angel from the X-Men.
Yes.
One of the original 4.
Oh, okay, cool. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yep.
And then also Wolverine, while we're speaking of him, he's got new powers and a new costume.
Yeah, so Wolverine's coming back. Wolverine died in 2014 by being encased in a giant adamantium tomb, basically.
Just like they did with Chucky.
Yeah.
Only with metal.
Yeah.
So what you saw in Logan is not accurate.
No, well, so this is, I mean, it is because the movies and the comics are always different stories, right?
Yeah.
They're different universes.
But he was not impaled with a stick.
He was not impaled with a stick. Spoiler.
He didn't die from
It's like it's like a year and a half later. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you haven't seen it. It's your fault.
Or you're under 18.
Yeah, come on. It was referenced in the first couple minutes of Deadpool 2, so...
All right, that's fair.
We're kind of past spoiler territory when it's been spoiled in other movies by now.
I guess when the trailer for Deadpool 2 says, from the people that killed Wolverine.
That.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Wolverine's coming back, and they gave him a new outfit, and I know there's been a lot of fan backlash on the internet about it.
Well, it kind of reminds me of a throwback a little bit, because I remember back, I don't remember who drew him, but there was one point where he had kind of like a black suit was during some crossover, but also back in like the early 90s, I remember like very distinctly like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with Wolverine and other stuff where he'd be wearing just like black suits.
Right.
And so it kind of almost feels like a throwback to more of that Savage style Wolverine that they had in that era.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine, right? And the nice thing about comics is nothing is permanent.
Yeah.
So whether you like the costume or not, it's going to change in the next 18 months anyways.
Yeah.
So it's,
no matter what costume Wolverine has, he always goes back to jeans and a tank top.
And a cowboy hat.
Yeah. That's Wolverine's costume.
Right.
Not the yellow and brown or the blue and yellow or the black
blue and
leather.
yellow right. He's going to be wearing jeans and a tank top and a cowboy hat, and he's going to cut the top off of his beer so he can drink it faster.
Yep, that's his go-to costume. So it's be patient if you don't
It's
like
fine.
it. And if you do like it, hey, look forward to seeing this new costume and everything.
So
his
you
powers, though, that's
you
what I'm
mentioned he's got
interested
new powers, yeah. And so, I mean, not a lot has been revealed about that, obviously, because he hasn't actually returned yet.
Yeah.
Even though he returned last September, and it's August. Yeah, so apparently now his adamantium claws can get red hot for some reason.
Yeah,
they start glowing orange, and they're super hot, and I
will burn you with
Which makes me
metal.
wonder, like,
Well, it's
would
strange.
his bones have melted or something if he didn't have the adamantium? Like, what is going on
It's so
here?
strange because Wolverine, his whole thing is he's got the healing factor, so okay, and then he's got the adamantium lace skeleton and the foot-long claws coming out of his knuckles. And adamantium, according to the Marvel Universe, is the strongest substance, and nothing can cut it except for sharper adamantium. And he already has razor knives coming out of his knuckles that are adamantium, so they can't break, and they can cut through anything except maybe diamond. I don't know. And so now they're stronger. Like, if there's someone to give new power, like if anybody
have they retconned anything since is vibranium now the strongest, or is it still adamantium? Okay,
We will
maybe
never
that's why.
know.
Maybe they've pulled back a little bit on the adamantium strength and given some vibranium a little bit more, or something. Who knows?
It's possible.
I haven't read their reboot this month, so I'm not quite sure.
it's sad because it's kind of true.
Wah, wah.
But we also got some other information about Ironheart. Speaking of Marvel,
Yeah. The poet and playwright Ewing has been greenlit to write the Riri Williams Ironheart series coming up here in November, I want to say.
Cool.
yeah, so it'll be interesting to do with that character because she's definitely got potential.
Yeah.
Just depending on who's writing her and what's going on. Like the favorite I've seen of that character for me was when she was trying to arrogantly take out Dr. Doom.
Right.
It was a fun little thing to read because it's Dr. Doom.
Right. So, teenage girl, Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how she does that character. I look forward to seeing it and seeing her take on it.
It's I did after you mentioned this the other day. I did a little bit of research on it. It's interesting that Eve Ewing looks a lot like Riri Williams.
Yeah.
Is probably a few years older than the character's supposed to be. But both characters are from Chicago, or both the character and the writer rather are from Chicago. So it kind of seems like
You picked the right person.
Yeah, it feels like they're trying to pick somebody that like, hey, give this character some more personality a little bit more. 'Cause it's just kind of been one note with hi, I'm here to take Tony Stark's place, and I'm super smart.
Right.
It's kind of just been her whole character lately, and so it'll be interesting to see what they do with that because she's got a lot of potential. It'll be an interesting character to see what they do with. So I'm looking forward to reading that when it does come out.
Yeah, that looks like it'd be worth checking out. And I actually really like her new costume redesign that they've
I haven't never seen that yet.
Yeah, it's instead of the just kind of red and gold like Iron Man, it's a black and pink and gold color combination.
Okay.
So just get a little light up heart.
I don't know what it is about black and pink, but I always love that color combination.
It's because you're a secret Bret Hart fan.
Maybe.
Yeah.
See, I always think
I
there was
like
a
it when there's
Toyota
more
truck
black
commercial where
and
it's
pink.
like, I remember the Toyota commercial where like maybe it was Ford, I don't remember, a big black truck goes to a giant pink cake and going, that's a good color combination. I like that.
I mean, that's what I said. Like, I like the black and pink combo, but I like it when there's more black than pink.
Yeah.
Well, interesting. That'll be fun to pick up and check out. And speaking again of comic books, what are your thoughts? And I like to hear this from you as well.
Okay.
Being a non-comic book fan.
Sure.
Walmart and DC have teamed up a little bit, and they started doing these $5 100-page giant issues that are Walmart exclusives.
Really?
Yeah, and it's to me, it's kind of maybe them trying to get newsstands back again, kind of thing at grocery stores. Because one of the things that's unfortunately going on in the comic book industry is that a lot of the slang is LCS, your local comic shop, are unfortunately closing down. They're just it's a tough business. If you don't got enough people coming and picking up what you've got in stock, it can you obviously know better than anybody.
Right? Yeah, I used to own a comic book store, or my family did. I co-owned it, but I basically ran most of it.
Yeah.
My mom, who was an accountant, ran our numbers, but I did pretty much all the rest of ordering and displays and stuff. And we were only open for 3 years. Now, we opened in late 2008 as the economy was collapsing, so we definitely had literally had the world against us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were able to, most small businesses fail in the first 6 months, and we were open just under 3 years. So we did something right. But it was very much like, Phoenix Phoenix has a lot of comic stores already, so that was a big strike against us.
Which is odd because Phoenix is kind of an anomaly with all the local comic book shops we have.
Yeah,
it's really strange. Everywhere else I've lived, like, you know, out in Texas and California and stuff, like, there's a few comic shops,
right.
But not as many as there are here. Like,
right.
There's a lot of comic shops.
All the nerds are here.
Well, you're not wrong. And that's why we could have 7 conventions at one point. No, when I lived in Massachusetts, like
nice.
every city had like 1 or 2 comic stores.
Yeah.
And it was every city, right? But you know, everything in Massachusetts is all old horse and buggy paths. So everything is 45 minutes away.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Phoenix, everything's 20 to 30 minutes away in any direction, and there's 20, 30 comic book shops in any direction.
Yeah. No, there's legitimately between 12 and 18 comic book stores at any given time in Phoenix, which is, and they're all less than a half hour away from each other.
Not to mention all the used bookstores we have and everything else.
Yeah.
It's a very large reading population here in Phoenix.
That's
a good thing. That's a good thing.
I'm all
bring the reading back.
Yeah, for sure. But no, so I will speak as a former comic retailer and current comic reader. I'm really excited for this, the Wal-Mart 100-page giants.
Yeah.
It's cool because they're reprinting a bunch of old material in them, but they're also including new stories by new current creative teams.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
So I pick up the Teen Titans one, you get like an old original 60s Teen Titans story, you get like an 80s Teen Titans story, you get one that's a little bit newer, and then you get like a new Teen Titans story in there as well. So you kind of get a little bit of every era.
Yeah, because one they put out previously was for the Teen Titans was like one of the Jeff Johns stories. That's his era Teen Titans is still my personal favorite just because the characters that were in it at the time was Connor Kent and Cassie Sandmark and everybody else. And for me, it's fun seeing that stuff out there because it's characters that aren't currently being used that they're still putting out and putting stuff out. So hopefully it's going to introduce more readers to that kind of stuff. And I just like just actually being able to see comic books again at a store.
Right.
That was part of my childhood is going in and, it's specifically to a Walmart because I lived in a small town and we didn't have a comic book shop of any kind.
Yeah.
Going to that wire rack that was hanging off the side next to the book, the newsstands for all the magazines. And going through there like, what do I got? What can I find? That was fun for me as a kid. I loved that, standing there and flipping through a comic book and getting to see new characters and everything at the newsstand. And I think that's something, kids miss today.
Yeah, I mean, I loved going to the magazine section when my parents would take me grocery shopping and, I'd go check out whatever was the Spider-Man or the X-Men or whatever I was up to, right? And just, whether I end up sitting there reading the entire issue at the newsstand or, hey, can we get this $1.25 comic? Because it's the early 90s. That was a fun thing to do. And with the closing of so many bookstores and, print just kind of not being what it used to be anymore, it's been a bummer. I know Barnes & Noble has a great graphic novel section, but I also know that Barnes & Noble kind of has it as an unwritten corporate mandate that, like, they don't have anything with a price tag under $9.99. So they'll carry graphic novels all day, but they're not carrying single issues.
Yeah, you're loose. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Stephanie, how do you feel about the 100-page?
That sounds awesome. So here's my thing behind that. So I've read some comics in my life, not in their order that they should be in.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I've read a few comics here and there. I definitely have dabbled more in the graphic novels and definitely manga.
Okay.
And I definitely know the feeling of, going to a store and there being something there to read. Like I did that through junior high. It wasn't with comic books. It was with the teen magazines.
Hey, that's fair. It was still a newsstand.
It was still a newsstand, yes. Yep. But I would be looking at, like, okay, what poster of Zac Efron do I not have on my wall? And but that's what I did. But no, but I have been in, like, the mindset these past, like, few dozen years that, like, I really do want to start getting into comic books, and everything being online now. I have it at my fingertips, so I can literally just go online and say, hey, I want to start reading, the Batman comics, the Superman comics, the whatever comics. It's just, I know for a fact is that the stories are all over the place, so it's like I don't know usually where to start, so I usually don't jump into it. So hearing something like this, where it's like, this is like, 100-page, thing, big book of just comics, and it's just the whole story that you need, that's enough for me to go, okay, I'll buy that, I'll sit down, I'll read this entire story arc or whatever is going on in this, and then I can walk away going, all right, do I want to continue reading this series?
Right.
Or did I just waste, however many bucks at Walmart trying to get this?
That's the other thing that's nice. They're only $5.
That is true. That's only $5.
So it's like, $5 for a comic, but it's a 100-page comic book.
Right.
Whereas you can go into your local comic shop and sometimes you'll find a 20-page comic for $5.
Yeah.
Because it's got a special cover on it.
Yeah.
It's just it's a good price point, and the actual seeing that they're putting new stories in there as well as some of their older ones, like that, to me that's a selling point, because like I have a reason to go this Sunday to Walmart to go pick up the new Teen Titans one, because I'm going to be a new Jurgens Teen Titans story with Tim Drake fighting some of the other Teen Titans. Why is he fighting them right now? I don't know. I need to know.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm definitely excited. I might go take a look the next time at Walmart. I don't know when that will be, but I'll take a look.
Yeah, it's in.
If not Christmas.
Last time I went, it was nice because they had them, up very prominently over there in the magazine section, and they had their own special box that had the DC logos and everything on it, and you could see it was very prominent up there that they were showing them. So, and they were sold out. There wasn't a single issue there when I went to go look for them.
Yeah, so
which was something else that was.
I mean, that's both exciting and sad,
frustrating,
right?
and sad, because it's like, oh man, I really wanted that, but at the same time, I'm going like, but you know what though? There's a bunch of people that came and bought those. That's fantastic,
right? And
hopefully
it's
it wasn't just one person. Hopefully, it was a bunch of people. But
right, yeah, I'm hoping it's a bunch of people that, like, a bunch of teenagers that haven't really read comics.
Well, and I haven't seen like any resale market for these at all yet. I haven't seen eBay market for them or anything. I haven't seen that.
Right.
So
that's a good thing then.
Yeah, I think it kind of seems like they're putting enough of them out there that it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
So
cool.
And a lot of it's reprinted stuff too, so you can go get the the stuff that you wanted. What you're specifically looking for, you might have to wait for a reissue or something. But
and I'm sure at some point, right, like they'll finish up the Jurgens Teen Titans story, or I know there's a Bendis Batman story in some of them, and et cetera, et cetera. I think a Tom King Superman in the Superman run, right?
And that's what's nice is that they're doing just like little mini stories in there as well.
Right.
That people that aren't writing Batman right now get to write a Batman story, or aren't writing Superman or writing Superman stories.
Right, and so I'm sure that at some point those will all be collected in graphic novels that you can get at comic stores, so that, hey, if you just want to get the new material, you don't worry about the reprints. Okay, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, but I'm sure at some point they'll collect all of those.
Yeah, especially if people are buying them out every time. I'm sure DC's, they're not in the business of not making money.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
So I'm sure they will go, hey, we need to put these out again.
Right.
Or we do these special collector's editions and charge an extra $5 and you get the whole story.
Right.
But I am excited to see that there's something going towards news stands again.
Yes.
And Walmart's kind of the best store, like they're sort of in the best position to do it.
Yeah, because there's a Walmart everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not something you have to worry like, oh, we're teaming up with Barnes & Noble. Well, there isn't a Barnes & Noble in every small town in America.
Right.
There basically is a Walmart in every small town in America.
It's true. It actually is true.
So you can actually get your readership out everywhere.
I'm going to look this up. How many Walmart stores are there?
Oh, your eyes are going to roll back in your head when you see that number.
That's probably
it's going to be
true.
a really large number.
Yeah.
I'm going to look up just how many Walmarts in the U.S.
That's probably smarter, and then the number's really small.
So as of December 31st, 2014, which is where Google pops up, there were 4,177 stores.
Yeah.
And I definitely know for a fact that there have been dozens more built since then.
So I can think off the top of my head of several that have opened since then. So I'm
sure.
Yeah,
So let's say 4,200, and if they all order 20 copies of each comic, that's 84,000 issues of each one in print.
Damn.
Right? It's 20 copies in a store. That's not a lot, right? And that's a very conservative number to order for comics.
If they're selling out at every Walmart, like the ones that I've been looking at, that's an 80,000 sales on a comic, which is huge right now.
Huge, because the best-selling comics maybe hit 100,000 every month.
And that's like, we're talking Batman,
right?
And
we're talking Batman and the Star Wars comics, and maybe Spider-Man.
That's about it.
Yeah, it's the ones that are hitting those triple digits are
few and far between
nowadays. It's not the early 90s anymore where everything's sold. You're canceling issues if they don't sell 60,000.
Right, right. So that's great though, right? Because and I just pulled a number out of my ass with 20, right? Like, what if they order 50 copies per store, right? Suddenly we're looking at almost 200,000 copies of each issue, and that's going to be the best-selling stuff in the world.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm going to kind of tangent off this because we know we're talking about, graphic novels, we're talking about, anime, not anime, but comic books and everything. Yeah. It's taking me in the direction of anime.
Sure.
I definitely know with, like any fall thing that happens where we have, the TV shows are coming back, there's new animated stuff coming back for new seasons and everything on regular TV. There's also, all new anime seasons being announced. Like, I think there's a third season of Attack on Titan that just came out recently.
Okay.
There's a third season of My Hero Academia that's coming out. Mm-hmm. And the most recent one, which is the one I'm most excited about, I mean, I'm wearing a t-shirt for crying out loud from it, they finally announced the date of Fairy Tail. The final season of Fairy Tail is going to be coming out, and I'm a little sad because I have read the rest of the manga. I am completely caught up. I know how it ends, but I read that a year ago. I have not been up to date since then. I didn't bother to go back and reread it, knowing that, oh, hey, October 7th, which oddly is the same day as Star Wars Resistance, that's coming out too. So you're not gonna see me October 7th at all. I'm gonna be watching both of those 8 times.
That's fantastic. So I haven't even gotten to see any of Fairy Tail, and now I can binge watch the entire thing when it's done. So
so I'll tell you when the final episode comes out, so you can go, okay, excellent.
Yeah, and I like doing that with anime. Unlike TV shows, there's a lot of them I'll watch as they're going on, but anime, I definitely like having the whole thing there, so you can sit there and actually absorb the whole story.
For sure.
I totally agree as well. Fairy Tail was just one of the few where I was like, okay, I want to watch Fairy Tail. I watched all the way up until where they had it, and then literally the following day after I finished the series, oh, by the way, the next season's coming out today. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So I was just like, all right, cool. And I just been kind of watching along with it ever since until they had like the 2.5-year break that they had. Yeah, it's been a while.
It's always tough when your shows have long breaks, like Venture Brothers. Thank God I'm getting new episodes finally after years, but
so
yeah,
it's always rough.
It is always rough.
All right, well, we're almost out of time, so let's get these couple last news hits going on. I know you had some Power Rangers information on.
Yeah, so there's let's go back to comics. There's coming up in, I want to say, December or January, Go-Go Power Rangers, which is the second ongoing monthly comic book series. They released a cover where all of the Power Rangers had their colors swapped. So the cover has all of the Rangers, all 5 of the original Mighty Morphin Rangers, and they've all got their helmets off. And you can see that I believe it was Trini was the Red Ranger, Jason was the Yellow Ranger, Zach was the Pink Ranger, Kimberly was the Blue Ranger, and Billy was the Black Ranger, I want to say. And all they've released is just the cover, right? So we don't know what's going on. We don't know why they've changed colors, but they have said that there will be an in-story reason for them to all have swapped. But I think it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of neat that, like, hey, like, there's never been a female Red Ranger in Power Rangers ever.
Woo!
Which is, so now, hey, the comics are giving us one. Even if it is a character that had already existed becoming just a different color of her costume.
That's okay.
Female cosplayers everywhere are now cheering.
Right, yeah, because now they don't have to be a yellow or pink Ranger.
Well,
I admit, I found that annoying, just kind of growing up as a kid, like, why are they yellow and pink? Why can't they be blue or red like these guys?
Yeah.
It's like, why did they do that color?
Yeah, I mean, eventually, I think Ninja Storm did have a blue female Ranger,
but it was like a light blue. It was like a baby blue.
Right, yeah. So giving us a little bit of a mix-up is kind of neat.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder how they're going to do that story.
Hopefully well.
Yeah.
It is Boom Studios, and I mean, their first Mighty Morphin Power Ranger series sold well enough that they could launch a second one.
Yeah.
So, and it's great because they're not in the same timeline. Because the regular one takes place after Tommy's joined the team, and the Go-Go Power Ranger series takes place before he's joined the team.
Interesting.
So it is very much like, if you like your original 5 Rangers, Monster of the Day stuff, you get this one. If you want your like kind of more serialized, a little bit more dramatic, the dark, gritty Power Rangers everybody's always wanted, like, hey, go read that series.
Yeah.
So
all right.
Interesting.
All right.
So. I mean, the only other things I've got really is, so a couple weeks ago they announced that there were going to be male cheerleaders in the NFL.
Hooray!
Yay! I know, right? I'm so proud of the 3 guys. There's 3 of them. 2 of them are on the LA Rams.
Okay.
And 1 is a part of the New Orleans Saints. So, I mean, it's a start, but hey, I'm fully supporting them. I think I've seen some videos so far, and man, those kicks and
those guys are athletic.
Those guys have got some sass about them that it just makes me enjoy watching it more.
That's fantastic.
So for the 3 guys out there, I wish you guys the best of luck and continue to kick ass. So.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see the reaction for them and see what they do. I look forward to seeing a halftime show just to see what they do.
For sure.
So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Final news note of the day then, unless anybody's got anything else pressing.
I mean, aside from the Eagles beating Thriller on the best-selling hits of all time, no, not really.
Somewhere there's a guy drinking a White Russian going, the dude does not abide.
Yeah, that's
Meanwhile, my fiance is going, woohoo, the Eagles!
Yeah. I've got NASA last week, I want to say, launched a probe it's going to the sun.
Nice.
NASA is going to, somehow, there has never been a man-made mission to a star at all. And somehow no one thought, hey, let's just send something to the sun. Probably
did we have the technology for heat resistance and things like that?
Probably not. And I did
I hear the sun is hot.
It's.
We're the prime example where it's oven.
Right. We live in Phoenix. We walk outside. It's like walking into an oven.
Cactuses don't produce that heat.
No, it's the fiery death ball in the sky.
That's misleading. It's like we do the Valley of the Sun or something. I don't understand.
Yeah. I just kind of skimmed a couple of articles, but it looks like this thing can withstand, I believe, up to 27 million degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh wow,
which
That's
is
pretty
a lot.
hot.
Yeah.
But it's also, and I may have read that wrong. So if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Please don't be a science jerk at me.
Social media, but no.
Yeah. It's not going to land on the sun, it looks like. It will be staying several
orbit.
100 miles around, but it is an 11-year mission, and it will be kind of orbiting around Venus, like using Venus's gravity as a slingshot to get back to the sun every year. So it will be kind of an ongoing thing. Like, hey, this thing is checking out the sun, and every year it will be getting a little bit closer to the sun until either it burns up
or something happens.
Yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully they don't destroy it, but NASA's like, hey, well, we know it's a big ball of fire in the sky. What else is it?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get a little more information. If we can learn more about the universe we're in, right?
Well, if we can learn more about solar flares and things like that, it could help us avoid disasters in the future.
For sure.
So,
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what comes from that.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, the final news note of the day, we have some video game information. Xbox announced that they're going to be doing a unique subscription service now with their stuff.
Okay.
What they're going to do is they haven't released a price point yet, so we'll see what the price is on it, but they're going to be doing the consoles as a subscription to where you can get an Xbox One X or anything like that along with your Xbox Game Pass, which is a library of hundreds of video games, and your Xbox Gold, all for a one package deal every month. So you can literally rent a system for it with a subscription without having to purchase a system, which is a good for some people that just don't have $500 to plunk down on a system immediately.
Right.
If hey, I can afford $200, but I can't afford $5. Hey, put that $200 on your card and just get that subscription every month, and you've got Games Pass, which is every game that Xbox puts out through their studios now comes out on Games Pass.
Okay.
So you're going to be getting any of their new exclusives, like the Sea of Thieves was one of the big ones that came out not too long ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was right away on Xbox Games Pass. State of Decay 2, Warhammer 2, Vermintide, a lot of the big games that are coming out for Xbox, they're putting straight on there, and they're doing a ton of backwards compatibility stuff with the Games Pass. And, to where you're getting original Xbox games and Xbox 360 games and Xbox One games.
Okay.
So, which for you might be interested in if you do have an Xbox, so you can go back and play the Republic Commando game.
Yeah.
Is available. Jedi Knight 2 is available to play.
So I grew up with the PS2. I still have this PS2.
Okay, see, there you go.
The only thing I had for Xbox 360 was a Family Guy game and Dance Central.
There you go. But some of the classic for the Xbox and Xbox 360 area, Star Wars games, a lot of that stuff are all backwards compatible now. And it should be interesting to see how this works out with Xbox, because they're doing it as a full service. It's not just games as a service, it's gaming as a service.
So this sounds like when you rent a cable box from your cable company.
Very similar.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you pay your monthly fee, and that gets you the box and the service and whatever tiers you want to offer.
And what would be nice about it, I see, is if you've got an Xbox or something like that, it's nice to plunk down that $500 for it, and if you have a warranty on it, great, but not everybody can afford a warranty all the time.
Right.
Something happens to your Xbox, you plunk $500 down on it, and then it just stops working because, whatever factor, be it manufacturer or otherwise, it doesn't work anymore. That's $500 out of my pocket. Whereas if I'm renting it for $20 a month, it stopped working, hey, send me a new one. So it could definitely be in people's favor for the subscription service.
I definitely do have an interesting question on that. What if you already own an Xbox? Are you still able to do this? Just you won't be able to actually get the console sent to you?
If you already own one, I suppose you could always sign up for the service and get a second one if you wanted to.
But I just didn't know if it was the same benefits.
You can already get the Games Pass for a certain amount every month.
Okay.
And you could do the same thing if you want to do a month to month on your Gold. It saves you money if you don't. But I think they're trying to do this package service to save people money as well. It's not going to be like, hey, here's $50 a month to do everything. It'll be, be one of those, okay, you get your gold, you get your Games Pass and a system. It's going to be more than if you just did the other two things, but it's not going to be bank breaking. So it'll be interesting to see how they do it. But as we get more information on that, definitely put that out there and let you guys know. And any other video gaming, comic book, movie information or news that you guys like or want to hear more about that we did not hit this week. Oh, I can't talk now.
No one's talking
It's
today.
time to go home.
It's past time to go home.
If there's any information that you guys want us to talk about, definitely hit us up on social media. We've got those up and running right now, so you can definitely hit us.
Yes, you can hit us up on Facebook at Atomic Monsoon, as well as Twitter at Atomic Monsoon. We also have a Gmail, which is
just atomicmonsoon@gmail.com.
Fair enough. And we also have atomicmonsoon.com, which you can go and check that out. And of course, always catch a new episode or any recent episodes on Voice America Variety. So there's that.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing from you guys and see what you want to talk about, see what you guys want us to cover. And we look forward to interacting with you in the future. So until next time, I'm Josh.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Stephanie.
And we will talk to you guys next time.
Bye.